Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Arndt, and welcome to another episode of Respecting the Beer. With me again are the usual guys. Nothing's changing here. Nothing special. Joel, Bobby, Allison.
Go team.
Wow.
I wish I had Shrink of Drink. That was good for Eric.
I got some new ones for Eric if he's ever on the show again. But anyways, this is a brewery,
He'll come back.
a podcast recorded at a brewery that is owned by two scientists. So when that happens, you produce data, a lot of data, probably far too much data, probably overthinking a lot of the operations and finances that occur at the brewery. So in this episode, what we want to do is let them go nuts and go through some of the interesting data points they got by looking at all the sales and all the other data that comes through this brewery.
Gary, can I point something out? Bobby and I are good friends, and he texts me things periodically. He texts me at least 6 graphs a month. And I'm not a math guy.
You're not married to him. You should see the number of
I can't even
graphs.
imagine how many graphs you get.
I get a graph every other day, which, I mean, and it depends. I mean, sometimes they're bar graphs, sometimes they're line graphs, sometimes they're like,
Oh, yeah, he's pretty diverse.
PCI.
he's diverse.
Principal component, or PCA.
If you ever gave me principal component analysis, oh my God.
Anyway,
Then that's dating.
here we
But
go.
I'll wake
Actually.
up and it's like, oh, hey, there's a graph from Bobby. And like, I'm not a math guy, but I love it. I love it. It's great.
Okay.
Keep sending a graph.
Joel
I just
loves his
texted
ego
you a,
stroked.
a graph.
Oh, I got a graph?
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
it's a Von de Graaff.
Van de Graaff. Actually, Van de Graaff's grandson was a student of
Van de
ours
Graaff.
years ago. Yeah. The wonderful Ben Long just
Tip your server.
brought us some beer. Oh,
And then
love
for
it.
those of you who are listening, who listen to my show, this is the same Ben
Benji
Long, who's an
Long, Benji
associate
Long.
producer of Everything Everywhere Daily.
Hey.
Soon to be a guest on this show.
Yes, we're
It's
going to bring
happening.
Ben on. Anyway,
One of the
okay.
most interesting people in the state.
That is
Not
true.
the worst.
Okay.
Not the most boring.
If you include fiction, yes.
If you're if you're listening, you can tell. We've already had a couple rounds of beer, so this is going to be fun. Anyway, which is the way that you need to have a discussion around data, because most people, their eyes glaze over completely when you start talking about data. But we've actually learned a lot about how to run our company through looking at data. So first of all, one of the things is every time you come into McFleshman's and you buy a beer from one of our amazing staff, they'll push the little buttons on what we call the POS, the point of sale. But what's lovely
also, people.
POS,
They
yep.
actually, yeah.
aptly named, but it tracks who's buying, or not who, but it tracks what you're buying, not linked to you, but we want to know what's selling well. One of the ways that we communicate with the community about what beers to brew is basically you vote with your dollar. So if you're buying a particular beer that really speaks to you, that you like, that you love, whatever, we see that in our numbers. And so every week, I kid you not, Bobby will send a plot of the top contenders. And it's not just a plot of, we can't just look at any particular day. So figuring out which beer sells best, taking into account which beer has been on for what number of days. So if a beer is on tap for only 2 days, you can't compare that to a beer that's been on tap for, say, 12 days.
Like Tallmass
for
was
instance.
on vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Thomas was on vacation. And so how do you, what we would say in science is normalize, or how do you take into account, okay, we have to take into account how many days it's been on tap. So if it's a 1-day beer and it sells out, it was the hottest seller that day, well, it was only on tap for 1 day. So does it really compete with, say, Pirates Cove that's on all the time? Bobby, take it away.
Right. First of all, I was going to say a couple years ago, right after COVID, we were trying to figure out how many beers the inner circle drinks. And our inner circle,
Our pub
we call
clubbers.
them the pub club.
Yeah.
And for a while, we weren't keeping track of that.
That's true. We
And
had a
then-
button on the POS that just said Pub Club. So if you were a Pub
Yeah.
Club member, you said, "Hey, I'm a Pub Club member." It just said Pub Club. We had no idea what you were drinking. We just knew that you were present drinking, which was great because we learned a lot about how much we love our Pub Club.
So
I mean,
when,
we already love you all.
When we opened this place, we wanted to recreate the experience you find in Ireland or England. We thought, wouldn't it be awesome if we had people that all but slept here? And at this point, we have people that come here 100, 200,
250.
300. There are
250.
even 300 pub clubbers.
I
days
rely
per year.
on the.
Those
we could do an
people are
entire
stars.
episode
Yeah.
on our pub clubbers. There's an inner circle of the pub clubbers who they give us more insight and intel into what our company should like, which direction our company
Right.
should go.
And so-
we value
so
their
the-
opinion
so-
so much.
Two things we learned. Well, first was why are we doing this? Because we're losing information. Because we said just anything they order, just push that button. We were losing information. The reason I didn't care is because our pub club loves everything we make. It almost like they're their own children, right? They just love everything. They want to try everything, no matter how ugly they are. And
So we wanted to get data on how much percentage of our sales actually was
we're sold to the regular people,
right, the
not
regulars,
the misfits,
as
that-
opposed
Yeah.
to people
Yeah.
that just came in once a week,
Yeah.
once a month, once a
Yeah,
year.
yeah. And secondly, we learned that they give us a lot of money per year.
It's
They
a
are
lot.
25 to 30% of our revenue. And I didn't mean to go take the conversation there, but our pub club is like, if you're going to build a business, build it around that kind of patronage. At least that's
Yeah.
the way I thought about it.
Yeah.
They're
And-
also 60 to 70% of our looks. That's a handsome group of people.
Oh my
I mean,
God,
it's
they
unbelievable.
are the best. And I think what is it? So when they get in the pub club, if you get a visit if you hit your 200th visit, now it's a gift from me and Bobby personally.
Yeah.
And my kid and I have had so much fun. We just go to Etsy and we like look up the coolest thing. And now it's like I
It's a
can't-
sign graph.
It's not a sign graph.
No, I saw Jay
Cosine
Jackson's.
graph
It was
is much
awesome.
more interesting.
Yeah.
It was a beer puzzle.
Yeah, it was. He was kind of bragging about it.
They-
And we're all looking
they're-
at it like, I really want a puzzle.
They're very
from
much
Well,
Bobby
like
and
and
now
family
it's
down
gonna
there.
be like
Yeah.
it's just whatever I'm feeling that day. Like
Allison,
that's
now you're going off on a tangent.
I'm sorry.
Yep. So they're like family. They will police us.
Oh my God,
Oh,
Mother-
Gary waited for it.
It's
For those
because I
that are
do-
not here
That-
with us
that-
today,
that was
Gary's a math
asymptotic
major and
behavior.
Allison's
that was
a math nerd.
Oh my
so-
God.
See? Can't fool them.
I know. Oh gosh. Oh,
That was a deep track.
that was so.
If that was a Tom Petty song, what song was that they just?
Oh God, I'm not sure I want to associate it. Not that it's bad or good, just that was out
something
there.
like that's
still in
not
the
running
vault that
down the
hasn't been
stream. That's
released.
something deep in the archives.
Oh boy! All right, Gary, get us back on track.
Let me ask you about this pub club, because this does not surprise me. So what does this mean in terms of what you're thinking in terms of, it seems that you would have a very strong incentive to get people to become pub clubbers.
Yes.
And you're not really pushing it that hard.
This is the time.
But I think there's also a bit of, do you know, like, of the people that have become pub clubbers, what they're spending on average? Like, is there anyone that's signing up and they just never
Yeah, we absolutely
We
do,
have
yeah.
numbers on.
It's sort of bimodal. People that are drunk and they buy a pub club membership and they come back once, if ever.
once a year. Yeah.
And-
Those
and that
yeah,
happens
nope.
a little bit, but yeah,
Maybe like 5 times.
Yeah,
3 or 4 times a year.
maybe
Not-
it's
not many.
trimodal. Yeah,
But we figured out, like, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we are a business that we, without margin, you have no mission. And so, we do have to make a profit in order to create the space that we want to create. However, we also want to create a space to where we're your third space. So you come in 2 or 3 times a week. After work, you have your 1 pint and then you go home. Like, we don't need you to stay and buy 800 pints. Well, I mean, 800 is a bad number, but say 5.
I don't think you could drive after.
Yeah,
800.
800 is too much. But let's say you come and you have 4. Well, honestly, that might be too many. Why don't you just come and have 2 and then, you go on your way home and you've spent your hour, but you do that 2 or 3 times a week. And we become your third space. Your kind of de-stressing space. You're just your third space, and then you go home and you go about your day.
There's a lot of people here.
A
that do
lot
that.
of people that do
Absolutely.
that. And that's the group that we're trying to help incentivize in a way to create the habit of us becoming your third
How
space.
many people are in the pub club?
Oh,
I think
haven't
100 is our goal. We're hovering maybe just below that. We kind of go up and down
Because
around
there are
that.
pub clubbers.
Yeah.
Like I come here on certain days, but if for whatever reason I come in on a different day, I'll meet regulars that I don't know,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is weird.
Yep.
Because it's like your dad has a family in another town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a Family Guy? Anyway.
I'm trying to find the spreadsheet. Oh my God, the spreadsheet. We have so many spreadsheets.
Oh my God. We have spreadsheets of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I mean, but it seems like, you lose a little margin if someone comes in a lot.
Yeah.
But
you don't
make up
lose.
for it in.
You make less. You don't lose. Yeah. We definitely cover the cost of the liquid.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 But in addition, there's something about like, so we've got that inner core group. And if
Yeah.
you're listening, and I know you are, you know who you are.
Jay Jackson. Dinky.
Well, and I know we're going to have to name all of them now.
A Ron.
They also,
Wait, he works
they
here now.
they
Never mind.
create they just create an atmosphere where you know that they all know each other. And then as soon as you let them know who you are, they immediately know you and you are drawn into the group. So
And there's a
it's-
point at which they become family. I don't mean like in the hug sort of sense, but the family that says what you're doing wrong sort of sense. They're always telling us how we can do it better and how we're doing it wrong.
Well, the
They're
book
in
club-
my hug sense. I don't know what you're.
They pull us aside and
They'll
they're
text
like,
us and
all
tell
right,
us,
this
"All
is
right,
what I'm
guys."
thinking. But we get really
what you
good.
should be doing.
So
we
you
get-
get advice, I get.
Oh,
hugs.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We get
Good.
really good advice, though.
Oh, I
Many
bet.
of the directions
No, I'm
we've
not
taken
mad
the
about it.
company are from their perspective, which,
Yeah.
I mean...
Like
they're
Chris and
here-
Daisy, for example, told me they were going to stick a knife in me if I didn't stop fucking around with Tall Mast. So that happened.
Oh, which
Out
is
of
so-
love.
Out of
Out of
love.
love.
They
Right.
really
It
did.
would have been a loving.
Which is
Yes.
funny
Shivy.
because the other morning, Bobby comes in, and it was at 5:30 a.m. I'm not quite
Oh,
sure.
he was late.
I know. But he comes in and he's like, I've lost my brew sheet. And I was like, what's wrong with you? What do you mean?
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
mean you lost
That
your
was a
brew
mess.
sheet? You lost the last. He keeps
Don't
diligent
let
data.
Chris and Daisy hear this.
I'm just-
they may listen to this
Well,
thing.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to say how much you were obsessed with
Yeah.
finding.
You could tell I was anxious about it.
Every time they make a brew,
Yeah.
they have a brew sheet that has the current ingredients. Now, granted, the ingredients always have to change, or the recipe always has to change based on the real-time data of the alpha acids of the hops, the grain bill, all of the different chemicals associated
Water
with
analysis.
all of that.
Yeah.
A lot
Anyway,
of math.
Math.
lots of math.
Math.
Oh my God, the amount of math that goes into beer. Anyway, so the last tall mast batch, that sheet got misplaced somewhere. It's somewhere in this building. It exists. No one would ever throw a brew sheet
No.
away. But Bobby comes in. He is white, like his face. He's
Especially
rainbow color.
anxious about this
He is
one.
not well. I'm like, are you sick? What's wrong? He's like,
Yeah.
I've lost a brew sheet. And he
Yeah.
can't find that particular brew sheet, so he had to go back 2 ago. But he's like, but we improved it. Like, I mean, we're talking a milligram switch.
So this is where Cooler comes in. Cooler is our head brewer, and he's got a mind like a steel trap. If anything changed, he remembers it changed. So we were actually going over this today. So we're all good. Chris and Daisy, you can chill out. Please don't knife me.
Anyway, we're back to data.
Yeah. Well, it's all data. That's on the brewing side. Okay. So, all right. We were going to start this by just talking about our top 10 sellers and,
Yeah.
and give a
Well, one of the
narrative
other
behind
things,
all that.
One of the other things that we have noticed is we have a flight button.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Joel, can you speak to the flight button?
The flight button gets used a lot on Saturdays.
Doesn't it, though?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I put it on our top
Saturdays.
sellers just because I want to see how flights do.
Oh my
Yeah.
word. Saturday is Flight City.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I love flights because usually this is the chance for me to talk to people about beer more
Who
than
buys flights, may I ask?
people that buy flights are people that are coming into the brewery for one of the first times.
First timers.
They are people who are maybe traveling from out of town. They've heard good things. We've had a few people that have listened to the podcast. Thank you.
Multiple recently,
Nice.
Yeah,
actually.
Jason Carroll, how you doing, buddy?
And Steve,
You know, that will
also.
Right.
We met a Steve from Indiana or Iowa,
Right.
Indiana.
The
Yep.
next day, the same story.
Same
Another
story.
person, another state.
We
Oh,
thought both of us was
fantastic.
like, it's the
Yeah.
same guy. I was like, no,
Yeah.
it's a different guy. Different
Yeah.
person traveled
And
along
that
the
makes
way.
sense. If it's your first time here, you have
Yeah,
this
you
big
wanna-
selection.
Right. But
Right.
also, you feel like
You
you're
know.
on a speed date. Like, okay, we have
Yeah.
to make an impression, or they're going to go to
But
another
also,
brewery in town, which are
But
all
I
awesome breweries.
I love
Yeah.
pouring flights because it gives me a chance to tell 4 stories.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's so great.
He just pours 547 4 times. That's all it is. This is a 547 on the right.
And he
but
tells
this is
it
a
with
547
a
in
fake
the middle.
mustache he wears and then a hat.
Right.
Same story.
No, but it's, you know, because they'll want like a variety of things. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes they'll give me, they'll say, you know, beer tender's choice. And it's.
Oh, that must be
it's-
hard for you.
No,
Oh.
it's not.
You ponder
It's-
that one.
Nope. It's that one. I've got a basically what they call that in downstairs amongst my fellow beer tenders is the Requiem.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that flight is called
Anyway,
the Requiem. 547 is one of them.
So we can keep track of first timers
Nice.
based on the number of flights that are chosen because I don't think I've ever seen a regular buy a flight.
No,
No, regulars have had the whole
I haven't
thing.
done it in a while.
Yep.
I wouldn't pour you a flight.
And
Well, of 547, maybe.
Right.
so anyway, so that's one way that we kind of keep track of like, okay, so what do you do with that information? So you give this information about, all right, Saturdays we're going to have more newcomers. So like the first time folks coming in. And I don't know, like we have particular staff on Saturdays. We normally try and double staff on Saturdays. And we just know there's going to be a different crowd, I guess.
12
from
to
the-
2 on Saturday when we first open is just a totally different vibe.
Very much so. Then the Wednesday
This is a
evening crowd.
chance for you to meet new people.
Yep.
And hook people. And, you know, I think of the story when Denny first came in.
Yes.
Denny's such a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show's, a friend of McFleshman's. That was just like a landmark moment for I think for both
We can
of
do
us.
an entire. Have we invited Denny to the podcast yet?
We need to get Denny on the show.
that was
But
a
when-
serendipitous moment, by the
It
way.
was.
Yeah.
But when he came in, it was just an opportunity because Saturdays are between 12 and 2 are never. It's never busy, so it gives me more of because I'm usually the 12 person on Saturday. It gives me a chance to kind of be really
Yeah.
personable with people and,
Well-
and just really have a good time talking to people,
And we have a
meeting people. That's my favorite part of working here is meeting people.
Yeah.
And
When you're good at that.
I
You're
like
very
meeting
good,
people.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it also for them, and this is coming back to the graphs and
All the
nerd
graphs.
stuff. This gives me a chance to introduce them to our beer through flights.
Yeah.
So we sell a ton of flights before 3 on Saturday. A flight after 3 is weird.
Yeah. And our flights, I should say, I'm looking at it now. It's the.
Well, I just sent over the most recent analysis.
Oh,
so
is it-
Oh, there's new analysis in the last
flights
5
are
minutes.
actually they're a little bit lower on that list. And the reason that flights look like they're really high before you run the analysis is because Saturdays.
Right. It's just
That one day just
particular day,
overweights
all
the
of them.
analysis.
Yep.
Yeah. But when you do a proper analysis, every time we do this analysis, I don't even want to stroke his ego, but every time we do it, it's 547.
Oh my
no matter
God.
which way,
Wait, whose
which
ego?
yours.
Alter Ego's number 5. Sorry. Number 5.
But no. Read off the top 5.
And please be very clear on number 1, dear.
There's
my God.
one on the top 5 that surprises me.
Oh, who? El Guapo?
And we're going to have Allison go ahead and read that. So
All right. Number 1 is 547.
I'm sorry, my mic cut out. Could you say that again?
Number 1 is 547. Where's MSB? Hang on.
My screen's too small to see MSB.
Is not even on the list. I'm gonna cry.
It's like 14, 15. It's right above Scalio.
15. Oh, there it is. Hey, MSP English Pale Ale. That's okay. White Horse Porter.
Read off the top 5.
Oh my God. 547 Imperial IPA, Snail Ale Rye IPA, which
Thanks, Christoph.
El Guapo Mexican Lager, which we're at the Brewers Stadium now, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, go Brewers. Lil Tornado West Coast IPA, Alter Ego Hazy IPA. Are we an IPA brewery?
Thanks,
That was my point. Like,
Bruce,
what
yes.
is happening
Bruce
here?
McEffin Cherry Cider, Hildy Pills. Hey, Hildy from the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
Something Amber Vienna Lager, Pirates Cove Hellas Lager. Go
Seltzer.
So
Yep.
is not so the IPAs are near the top along with lagers. What surprised me was the cherry cider
Yes.
Yes.
because I don't like your cherry cider.
Okay,
But
hang
you
on.
are a purist.
And that's going to wrap up this episode of Respecting the Beer. The producer of Respecting the Beer is me, David Kelso, with music by Sarah Lynn Huss. Come back next week to find out why Gary doesn't like McFleshman's Cherry Cider. Be sure to join the Facebook group to stay up to date in between episodes and support the show over on Patreon, where you can get access to the full episode right now. And finally, don't forget to respect the beer.